things that we're doing to kind of, be a little different, get people involved, and spread, trails. And so what we feel is there's more value in people than, get them involved. Then, okay, well, it's going to cost you X amount to be a member of our group. Yours your yearly. So for us, it's free to join, right? So there's more for us. There's more value in the people. So Drew maybe bringing something to the table that none of us have, and so and then managing all those membership fees. Who wants to do that? I know I don't. So I know a lot of the rest of us don't. So it's free, and then what also I thought was important was California is a real diverse state. Obviously, we all know that. So not only is there diversity in cultures and religions, but also careers. So you're good at web design. Oh, we have something for you. So that's kind of what we're after. Is what do you bring to the table, and how can we use it for the club? So we want to empower the people that are active in the group. So so the people that show up, obviously, we've cleared a huge hurdle, right? So people showed up, they want to be there, they're active. And then maybe they show up a second time, you give them a bigger piece of the puzzle, give them a little more leash, and have them more involved, give them a special project or a piece of a project, and have them own it. And when these people own it, they get way more involved, and it's kind of a virus, right? So how we do our organization is we have tiered levels of support. So I alluded to the free membership. So you sign up on the website, boom, you're part of our group. After you invest so many hours, for us it's 10 hours, so like a day, day and a half. We put you at a tenured member level, and what that does is that you get access to more things. Again, we give you that little longer leash. We have special events for our tenured members, and then the people that are kind of really crazy and really passionate, probably a lot of you people here, right? 100 hours of service is how we do it. You're active. You're the ones that are making the decisions. You're leading projects. You're doing all these real big, high-level things. So initiative is future leaders. Zaki's been around a while in the organization, I think from the beginning. I've only been doing it for about a year now, but I've been really active. I've been wanting to give back to this, the trails and everything that I've been using, and my leash keeps getting longer and longer, it seems. So I just keep running. So Zaki's seen that I'm hungry and want to do more, and okay, here you go. Okay, here you go. So, and I think that's what we're trying to do. Any other person that comes in that's real active, we want to do the same for them too. Right here, just kind of a little fun. Drama's bad, fun is good. So we're not looking to have no drama in our group. So we like positive. We like people that are easygoing, willing to have fun, willing to enjoy some of our crazy adventures that we do. So we're doing fun events that will inspire people. There was a psychodrama thing that Zaki put on, and it was kind of this thing, and it made it pretty exciting for the attendees, and it was a good time. And then what we're also trying to do is have uniforms, and we're trying to maintain the same look. So we have some great big projects coming on. So you'll see our members, project leaders will be having the same shirts, or certain color shirts will be, go see the guy in the blue shirt or the blue hard hat. And that's kind of someone that you want to go to for, it's one of those higher level people that can show people what to do. We're always continuously trying to think outside the box. And everyone does a trail day, right? And but what can we do to make it even more exciting, to put our claws in these people and to bring them back again, right? Because you're gonna forget, oh, we just went and we got to the McLeods and we did it. But if we involved in something, I don't know, did a race or something, in the meantime, or all those things we're trying to think of. And so one of those things is we have a big trail that we're going to be, about a 5-mile trail that we're going to be doing this year. And what we plan on doing is build like a spike camp, which is something that they did way back in the mining days, right? Which is kind of where we're from. We're from Nevada City, so kind of to keep that same theme. This trail is only 5-10 miles from town, and everyone can drive back home. But what we want to do is to kind of keep people engaged and involved in the sense of community. And when we're building this trail, we want to do like a 10-day session and have a spike camp, so everyone comes back to the camp at night. And we'll have games and events, and one-legged races or something, what we'll do is, and then everyone can have a sense of team and camaraderie. Oh, you should have seen Bob. He was doing crazy things, and we're all chatting, having maybe an adult beverage or so, and it'll be a good time. And then the next day you wake up and you're right there on the scene, and boom, we're right back into building trails. So that's kind of one of the things that we're thinking outside the box on. So the core project team for this trail building session, they're kind of like the atlas, right there. They got the whole weight of the whole project. And fortunately, Zachary is that he has a bad back right now because of that weight. So these are the people that are carrying the project. There's a small team that are, they're the ones that are, reaching out, getting the little smaller committees involved, and giving those people the rope. They're just as active, but they only want to do this small portion. Okay, well, you're doing that small portion. I don't have to do it. So here's your rope. Get it done, right? So and again, that core project team will have that special clothing that only they will be having, or hard hats, or patches, or tattoos or something. So the events committee. So we have a committee in FTA that's all they're in charge of is doing fun events. These are our outside the box thinkers. They're in the think tank thinking of these special things, right? So at the spike camp, we're going to have some games. There's going to be, obviously some food for the people that are out there. They're going to have a huge portion of the budget too, because this is the important part to get these people involved. So because we want them to come back again for our next project, which is right down the pipe, right? So I heard I was at a session yesterday, and someone was mentioned, say thanks, be specific. And, Kathy, you did a great job. How you were doing, X, right? You were getting drinks to everyone, right? And whoa, someone was really paying attention to what I was doing. I thought that was really cool, so I'm using that for my part of the presentation. But one of the other things that we want to do is we want a dividend program is kind of what we came up with. So say for instance, Mark, I'm going to use you as an example, if you don't mind. He worked for us a ton. He put in 70 hours, right? Which is amazing. Thank you very much, Mark. So what you've done, we're accruing those hours, we're tabulating. We've got you in the database. You can see how many hours you have in our, our new website that's coming. And So at the end of the year, we're going to designate a portion of our budget to buying like trail tools, maybe some sort of swag, t-shirts, PPE gear, whatever. So you can get out there with us, and it's not really costing you anything. So for each hour of labor, you get $1 or something, right? So boom, you can push that into buying your own McLeod or something. So, and then you can paint it up and design it, put your name on it, and that's your tool. You're going to own it. You're going to take care of it. You're going to bring it to each. You can go to some other trail day through another, and you're coming prepared with your own tools, and obviously you know what you're doing, right? So that's kind of how we're going to do. It's one of the kind of the innovative things that we're thinking of doing, and hopefully we think it could work.
Wait, can I ask what that tool is on this card?
Actually, yeah, I found that on some sort of. It's a. I forget what the.
Scissor?
It's a special tool. They combine a Polanski and a fire rake and a McLeod kind of all in one. And I forgot what it was called. It's made by Department 52 or something like that. .com.
Can you use it to barbecue things?
Yes. I thought it was a pretty cool tool, but it's pretty pricey. It's like $160 compared to. But it's intended for firefighter use because it has like a tool on there to lock the hoses together and stuff. I liked how it had everything.
That's a lot of hours then I have.
Yeah,
That's a lot to get that.
That was if anyone has any questions on my portion, I'm going to transfer over to Zachy. Sure.
That dividends thing, so that's money that people are accumulating theoretically. It comes out of your budget at the end of the year.
And we want to push those dividend dollars that they've earned due to how many hours they put in with our group. And then, okay, you put in 100 hours, okay, so each hour earns 50 cents or however, it has yet to be determined. We get some grant money or whatever, we're going to increase that, right? And then you can go and on our website. We're not going to give it to you so you can go to Best Buy, but we want to encourage you buying tools or the garb or uniform or something. Or
and that would stay with the person, like if
that would be your stuff. So we're hoping, we're saying thanks for giving you this gear, and then at the same time you're ready to go for the next project, right?
Thanks.
Funny. You don't have membership dollars, so where do you guys get your
It's those leadership group, the crazy people. We're a lot of the money's coming out of our own pockets. We've teamed up with the National Forest Service. We've gotten real in bed with them. So we're doing a lot of work building these trails ourselves, but we're having them pay for environmental NEPAs and stuff like that, which are a pretty significant amount of money. So that's kind of our partnership with them is that, okay, so you're going to pay for that, and then we're going to build the trail for free.
And then, but where do you get all the money for the food and your events?
I think, sponsorship.
Local businesses donate a lot to our events.
Okay.
It's a real small community, so
Everybody knows the good work you're doing.
yeah, exactly. We've earned a pretty good reputation. Yes, Tim.
Two questions. I arrived a couple minutes late. You might have said that. Number one, are you a 501c3?
Yes.
And two, what's your budget for the roughly? How can you? What's it take to pull this off a year?
I might be able to speak to
Yes.
that a little bit better.
Thank you.
Okay.
And how many years have you guys been?
Good times that.
Thank you.
I'm Zachy.
The Zachy factor.
I got a lot of notes. At Pure Calm, the terrors in my heart right now. So, just to address the questions around funding, over the last 10 or 15 years, we progressively have got more successful at building trails, securing confidence of the land managers we work with, and then also investing in trail tools and equipment and experience. A lot of our people have gone through like the Fish and Wildlife, a week-long federal trails program and whatnot. And so, but in regards to funding, one of the things that we found, we built 35 miles of trails so far with no budget, okay? So, oh, my wife's in the room, sorry. So we are getting, there, you know, depending on how you go about it, it doesn't need to be super expensive. One of the things that inspired us is that, you know, generally in trail contracting, as you all know, can be very, very expensive. We just had a regional trails RTP project happen in our community in Nevada City, and it was $215,000 for 2 miles of trail, right? And we would have built that trail for free, and we're like, well, you know, we should be in a position to where we can satisfy these contracts, get people involved in their own trails, increase the amount of level of stakeholdership and stewardship, and at the same time, you know, not deplete my wife's account. So to answer the funding elements, and specifically, you know, we've got one, so one of, hold on one second. So we've got a couple big projects, got 4 trail projects this year, right? We're bursting at the seams with success, and it's really been building over years and years of very patient work. And I am not a patient person, so it's a lot of like screaming in the closet and coming out composed. But you know, basically this year we're partnering with a number of different organizations. JET's organization, which you heard a little bit about yesterday, WIDEBONK, is a youth organization that inspires kids to get out into trails doing something fun, right, called mountain biking. And so we partnered with JET's organization to build one of the most sexy trails we've ever done called the Loma Rica Trail. And it was actually chosen to be the state championships course last year. And it was out of the box because we didn't have the standard multi-purpose, you know, guidelines. And so the trail was flowy and unique, and you'll be able to see some of the, we have a short video on that in the presentation. But in short, what I'd like to share with you today, and the reason I think that I come to a conference like this is because I want to be exposed to new ideas. I want to understand what's the new iPod of trail technology, right? How are people reinvigorating interest in trails, right, in the 21st century? Because my experience is that working with a lot of these federal agencies and whatnot, is they're operating out of these tattered books written in the 1800s, right? And so if we want to have trails, right, be supported and a vital part of our community, right, then we need, most importantly, to have our youth inspired by trails. And that means that it needs to be more than bird watching. That means that bicycling or any other kind of unicycling, skateboarding, whatever it takes to get people away from their computers, right, and onto the trail should be supported in some form or fashion. So, here we go, I got this slide thing, I should use it. So, one of the things that, personally, because it's something that I'm passionate about, but also I found that the #1 thing that interests people, right, in outdoor recreation is adventure, right? If you do Google searches and stuff like that and look at like these meetup groups and whatnot, you know, mountain biking 147. Wow, there's more than the 12 people in my group. But you go to adventuring, 1,500 people, 3,500 people. These are groups in Sacramento near our area. And we draw on demographics all the way down to the Bay Area that come up to our area where we're actually friendly to trail users. And, but what I see that inspires people is getting out and exploring and adventuring and relating, being a part of a community. So, production, we'll get to that part. So along those lines, people are our greatest resource. Now, I know people might have heard me talk about my machines in a very loving way, but really what makes things go around is our volunteers and our leadership group. Like Blair was mentioning, we use a unique program, and we don't charge anybody for membership because what we want to do is eliminate any consideration to get people out on the trail, right? And so the first level is just like, you know, hey, if you like what we're doing, sign up. And then we can show our land manager, look, we've got all these people that are stoked on what we're doing. And then if we can, lure them into a Zack trap and get them out on the trail. Once they have 10 hours of volunteer time, they step up to our tenured level. Kind of a play on words there, but so anyway, here's a group of some of my friends. I mean, look at these guys. Anybody who does trail work, you know, you can tell when people go off the deep end and become passionate, that's how they come home looking. It's not any of these 4-hour little stints. Adventure, we're out in these historic gold mining towns, and it's really fun stuff. That's kind of a scary part. All right. So everybody has something to offer. Okay, this is John Fisher, he's a legend in our area, and a great contributor to trails. Guy drives me nuts, right? And he is a map addict, a cartophiliac. And but everybody has their little area of interest. Blair's going to be doing our monitoring program. He is like the beaker of our trail organization. He's like totally focused on techno gadgets and all kinds of fun stuff. The other thing is that what we found is we give people a chance, right? So many trail organizations, they are like, well, we can't do this. We can't do this trail yet. We got to raise $3,500 for our signs, right? These signs, right, are made on cedar, right, that we got for free, and we actually had a great party. Probably 12 people showed up. We made 47 signs in around an hour. Okay. Now, true. A beaver or other various wildlife will eat these signs with some level of glee, right? But so far they've lasted. We haven't had any major damage for, you know, at least several years. And so this is a great example of how we're able to do things for free. This is a great thing. Ride good, no. Maybe the tequila was not good. This is Ken Wells here, if any of you guys recognize him. He's, there's consequences. This is one of our new techniques. We were studying fall line. This picture didn't come out really good. Back to adventure, right? This is actually a really cool waterfall called Lucky Dog Waterfall. The trail continues at the bottom. So one of the things that we got into, I'm going to speak to just briefly, is that one of the things that we focus on is creating not only unique opportunities for people to participate and contribute, right? Because everybody likes to do trail work, okay? But they're not going to go back a week with their friends and say, look at this. I moved this 20-foot of shoulder off the side of the trail. No, but they build this bridge right here. Every time they go by that bridge, they're going to remember that experience. They're going to show it to their friends. They're going to walk on that trail. There's going to be ownership and pride. Not only that, who needs a crane, right? We got Egyptian technology, right, that's been passed down for centuries, and all you got to do is Google it. So this is one of the first bridges that we did with one of our partners, the Nevada County Land Trust. One of the things that we focus on, we do a lot of utilization of local resources, salt, hand-picked quarry stone. A lot of our stuff utilizes stone. This is another one of our stone arch bridges. Okay, now these are a little bit more technical in nature than the ones we do for the federal government, which are like 6 feet wide. But again, you can kind of see the creative elements in this. Okay. Now, for challenging terrain, you can see the mountain bike right there. These are 18 inches wide. They're actually designed as a B route. So, everybody know what a B route is? One of the things that we've developed with our relationship with the Forest Service, which is our main trail partner, is that we want to create trails that are going to be a great experience for everybody. Okay. And that means the person out there walking or riding for their first time, right, shouldn't really suffer a Zack trap unless they consciously choose it, right? So a B route basically is a very clear, distinguishable option, right, that is going to say doom by anybody who looks at it. Okay, so the way that we distinguish our standard trails are 3-foot wide benches. The B route is a 1-foot wide bench. Okay, so it's much narrower, right? It's obvious the main trail goes this way. This goes to the Wicked Witch's house. Okay. The other thing is that our B routes are often disguised. Okay, so we want you to earn your B route. Okay, meaning that most of the time you do not see the B route until you're already riding by it. If you want to do it, that means you actually have to get off your bike, turn around, and go back, find the entrance, and then get on the B route. Okay, if you're like, nah, whatever, we don't want you on that. Okay. The other thing is that we use a choke point or a qualifier, a couple different names for it. And that's basically as you leave the main trail onto the B route, there's some kind of feature on that reflects the level of challenge without the consequences that you may visit further along in the route. Is that clear? Excellent. So here's another stone arch bridge that we did. And this gives you a little bit of an example of the inside of the crazy Zachinian design technique. We use a false works, and then we cantilever like a maze of rocks, put the stone over the false works. This after we've done the buttress work and everything. And although not very many people look under a stone arch bridge, like, Zachy, why do you do all this work to put stone under the underside of the vault, right? We had some very serious feedback from some trolls after our first ones, and they're like, dude, come on. So ours are authentic stone throughout, and it's fun. So this one right here, now you can see there's mosaic work on the cobble, and then also this is all pebble work that they're working on right now. So small colored stones that are placed within a dry mortar. So again, it's about creativity and self-expression. This is an art project, okay? So here's a finished bridge right here. These stones were dragged from a distance and placed, moss-covered stone, really into naturalizing an environment and placing things in a subconscious way. Here's another stone arch bridge we just did recently on the Sandusky Trail. Now this one only has around a 4-foot span. Yeah?
Those are incredible bridges. I gather it's from talking with Jake about it, that those are the Jacobson who worked on those, that there's a combination of the old Egyptian stone arch technology, but underneath them, I think you just said that, there's a rebar.
Not underneath them, inside the core.
Inside, there's nothing underneath.
Yeah, like an Oreo cookie.
Yeah, an Oreo. So there's a core of rebar and concrete.
I'm a fanatic about a process called ferrocement. If you want to Google that later, you may be entertained. It's what they use to develop huge water tanks and racing sloop hulls and stuff. But it's basically a very green process that uses around 1/10 the amount of cement. And where that becomes critical for trail design work is if you're hauling stuff into the trail like we do for this, right? You know, you do not want to be bringing a lot more concrete than you need to. Okay? This actually doesn't utilize concrete, it uses a mortar paste, okay? And has an acrylic and polyvinyl fibers in it for strength, but it allows you to develop an artistic exterior, the aesthetic, with a structural interior. This, by the way, it took 9 man-hours to make.
Get out.
No.
9 Zachy man-hours. Not including, that was just from when the rock was delivered to the site. That was like to set the form and place the rock.
One more question.
Yeah.
So how thick is that band under that bridge or the other one?
This particular one has a 4-inch structure in it.
A what?
4-inch
4-inch
structure. Right. Yeah. So here's a slightly larger one. This is 45 feet long with a 20-foot arch. And again, utilizing now on this particular one, this is on federal land as well. We had to go through around 2.5 years of significant convincing for them to be able to allow us to put it on here. We had to import software for our engineer from Europe to actually, because you know these days engineers, they kind of are trained by software by the plywood corporations, right? You know they basically know how to punch in corporate fax connectors and stuff, but it actually gets into standard like arches and compressive elements that are naturally strong. You have no clue. This particular bridge is an example. We went through our first group of engineers that I worked with as a contractor. There was over 14 yards of concrete for this bridge, right? And then the guy's like, oh, well, and then you can do whatever you want as far as the stonework. So it's basically a huge bond beam, right, with a little exterior dressing. This one right here has a little bit more than 3 yards of concrete, so a significant reduction of structure just by utilizing nature's own concepts of what works well. So I'm going to show you a couple of photos on this. Now, hold on one second, okay, I'll jump back to you. So this particular project was great as an example on how you can romance your volunteers, okay? Because way before, while the Forest Service is still scratching their head till it bled, we were out there sourcing materials and planning, okay? So we actually, during this misadventure, found an incredible resource of stone nearby to the site. The only problem was around 800 vertical feet up the mountain on like 90% side slope on Yomana Mountain. You can see me, I think, in this photo way down here. So we went up there and we sorted through all this stone and stuff, practically roped in, stockpiled the stone into these piles, marked them, covered them with plastic, and then came back the next winter with snowshoes, okay? Because the terrain was so crazy steep and there was like 6 foot tall brush towards the lower sections, we had to come back when you could actually climb over the brush on snow, okay? So you can see these guys crawling up to the surface. It's very, very, very steep. And then we loaded these sleds, right, with the stone carefully placed and wrapped within wool blankets and strapped down. There's over 400 pounds per sled. We lowered them down the hill with 300-foot belay lines through the woods. Here's the site where the bridge is going to go. We got it all ready to go. Got out there to actually start prepping for the foundation. We looked up, we're like, oh my God, there were 8 trees over 30-inch in diameter that were all dead within striking zone of the bridge. So you can kind of see one of the first ones that was dropped there. So we had a ton of trees and a lot of site work to prep. The actual choosing of the crossing involved a lot of work in partnership with different people, hydrologists, botanists, you know. Here's the site as we start to prep it. It had a secondary flood area. The bridge is off right over here. That hadn't been used in a really long time, but we designed for a 100-year flood level. So we actually did a raised turnpike to approach the bridge. Here's our equipment that we use. So we use a Mini EX TB16, and with a mechanical thumb, you can see it can lift a 400-pound plus stone with pretty little effort. The other thing that we put a lot of energy into in all of our projects is that we finish our projects like no one was ever there, what we call historicalizing the trail. And I know that some trail builders in and out say, hey, no problem, that thing will look fine in another 5 years. Now this particular site offered a huge challenge because, you know, obviously we're going to have a major construction thing, so we had to develop multiple stages of planning. Here you can see we've towed in the concrete mixer on a single track trail. We started to set up our staging. This is all turnpike. Oh, I have this thing. All turnpike right here. That's around 4 foot tall going to the bridge itself. The bridge actually is skewed, right? So you actually approach the bridge on a camber that's around 6 inches out of level, and then halfway across the span, the camber changes the other direction as you turn off in the other direction. Okay, so this is the false works, okay? And it's really not false, it really does work. So you can see all the panels were built in town and then hauled out onto the site, all assembled on girders and stressed across the span on top of a prepared buttress. This is what it looked like when it's skinned. Now this is what all the stone goes on. You can see there's a substantial amount of engineering that went into this particular bridge. Here's another load of material coming in. Masonry sand right here. Guard dog. We had everything all prepped. Here's the side walls on the bridge. And those are just keepers. It kind of gives us alignment as we're starting up our vertical elements. And you can see it's pretty much ready to start dry stacking the stones onto the arch. The actual core of the bridge is rubble, right? There's no structure in it. It's all in the skin. And then we have bond beams that go across to stop the exterior walls from flopping out. We also milled all of our handrail stock and everything else from the site. We had a pretty harsh winter. There was a number of cedar trees that came down. This is one of our board members, Jeff, with our Alaskan mill, milling 6x6s for the posts. This is the finished project. I apologize for the quality. I'm not sure if it would help if we turn off these lights, but this right here, here we go, is an actual B route feature. Okay, the main trail is down here, and it swings around, and you can kind of see as it goes across the bridge. This is approached like another 100 feet farther up the trail, and it's complete side diversion. And then you can't really tell from this photo, but it's a very steep decline on like a 5-foot tall turnpike of stone that's around 18 inches wide. And then you come all the way down, up and around where John Fisher's standing, and then back onto the trail. The great thing about this is that we put a lot of focus on making sure the exposure is intimidating but not hazardous, okay? So all the fall areas on the side, there's no big stones, just sharpened punji sticks. And this area over here is only around 18 inches. This section right here, all the way farthest off the ground, is the easiest to do. And then the most challenging section right here, where we have to really swing out wide if you're on a bicycle to ride it, is only around 18 inches off the ground. So it's really about combining perceived challenge, right, with real risk. Or, yeah.
Is this only biking and hiking? Or biking only?
It's a full multi-purpose trail. So obviously, I don't say a horse would go on my B route.
No.
But yeah, in theory, horses could ride on these trails, but of course, all of our staging area is only 20 by 20, so you know they can't really get a trailer in there.
We're easy to swim.
That's a joke. Okay, and then here's another feature here. This is around a 4-foot diameter tree that fell across the trail. We had to reroute the trail. We're like, wow, this is an opportunity from God. So again, the stone wall approach. This tree right here is at around 20% hung up on the tree. So you climb steeply up this tree, and then you can see 2 other stone walls that create a 7-foot tall turnpike with around an 8-foot radius. And you roll off this one back along this log, which is around 6 feet off the ground, and then back onto the trail again. One of the things on this particular one, this area in here still got ferns and everything. So we had a 0 disturbance on this side. So it was a little bit of a fanatical process, and people were kind of like shaking their head at me, but it turned out really beautiful. And then here's another D feature along adjacent to the trail. When we're out doing recon for our trails, we look for unique, what we call minor control points, which are unique natural features that we want to guide people to. Maybe not challenge sections like this particular tabletop, but incredible vistas, archaeological sites. And the upper photo here shows one of our cyclodrama events that Blair was alluding to, which is basically theater on bikes. Okay, people run into these crazy scenarios out on the trail. They're not really sure, is this a real thing that is threatening my life, or is this just Zachy pulling my leg?
Did you turn the lights off again?
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't see Zachy.
Okay, and then here's the bridge at the end. I just did a part of our recon on Saturday. I'm still limping from all the blisters, but crossed over this bridge on Saturday at 6 feet of snow on it. This is around 4 feet right now, and we did a recon of the trail we're building to Downeyville on backcountry skis. And but this is used for all-season use, so it's a backcountry ski route as well. Here's an example of one of our switchbacks, which is what we actually call a rolling turn. And so we actually have 4 different specialty designs for our rolling turns, depending on the type of trail and the challenge element. But we try to make all of our turns non-interruptive and intuitive. Here's a beautiful picture of the equipment I love. And another piece is a 2-wheel drive motorcycle along a historic ditch that we use for our maintenance. There's me with the TW, John Fisher, with our skid steer. This tool right here, we use 2 minor pieces of equipment, and like I was saying earlier, we really focus on minimal impact to the environment. With the concerns about sedimentation and other things, for us it's really not okay to be creating 12 feet spoils down the hillside. Not only is there a long-term negative impact to the aesthetics of the trail and the biology and botany, but it looks obviously a lot better when you can finish a trail that looks like this, okay? Now, all of our volunteers now, we have put the Pulaskis and the McLeods aside, as much as Blair covets that new tool. And our volunteers use pruners, leaf rakes, and garden rakes, okay? And with the 2 pieces of equipment you just saw, allows us to basically very lightly brush the organics back over the shoulder, right? And you end up with this intimate trail, which for our level of users, the number of users that we have, is generally how our trails wear to. Another example. Now this is an example, whoops. This is an example of what it looks like when we rough it out with the equipment, and then you can see just a little bit of light raking of the pine needles. And you'll be able to see here in a video very shortly of the actual technique I use. And then we're going to transition into Jet here. This is at the Loma Rica project with one of our trail days, doing a little safety talk, which is entertaining with me usually. And
let's let Jet go and we'll do the videos at the end.
what's the, how do you say play on this?
Play.
Play!
Do you want to let
Didn't work.
let's let Jet go.
No, let's finish up with this.
Okay.
There we go.
This is at real speed too.
Thank you. Music.
Hey.
So most of you met me shortly, well, from Nevada City. I'm originally from California, born and raised in Sacramento, raised along the Sacramento Delta in a small town called Hood. If you see Hood Franklin Road off of 99, head towards the west, that's where Hood is. I originally got involved or introduced to trails when I started horseback riding. Every time our family went on vacation, I signed up for horseback riding on the trails where we went had horseback riding opportunities for me. But I went by myself. My siblings didn't like it. My parents didn't care for it. So my dad was fine. And then when my kids went to school, I have 2 teenagers right now. When they were in 2nd grade at Nevada City Elementary, Auburn Ski Club, which is off of 80, right down the frontage road from Boreal Ski Resort, had a Nordic ski program to get kids on trails during the wintertime. Well, that was my introduction to trail use during the winter season. With that, I worked for the Forest Service for about 25 years. My career right now is doing GIS CAD work and GPS. So what I've done is taken my skill bank. I've worked with the Nevada City School Foundation. We had a huge event started probably 10 years ago called Moms in the Mountain to generate revenue to help the school district out. I helped with our religious ed program in our churches. So that was my first touch of nonprofit volunteer work. So back in 2008, when my son was a freshman, he says, I want to try out for this independent school bike club. There's really nothing at the high school level for me personally, for my son, according to him. So, so he wanted something more challenging and something that he can do independently and still have his own network of friends to hang out with. So my husband and I, Bob, went to the parent orientation, and we heard these awesome testimonies from the kids on that team, which is the precursor to NorCal. They were in their second year of developing the NorCal High School Mountain Bike League. They had their first race there in Nevada City at our old airport location. So listening to these testimonies, the light went on. He says, there's got to be some financial support for these kids. Working in the Forest Service office, I connected with another person, Bill McDaniel, who started the soccer league, Gold Country Soccer League. So that made the light go on. So for about 6 months, I thought about the idea, do I really want to move outside of my comfort window? And so I thought about it, and so I made the move. My father-in-law, who's a state lawyer,